Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Letitia Douglas. I am one of the founders of the collaboration of minority women professionals. Uh, I see a lot of new faces and names, so I just wanted to briefly introduce the organization, introduce the founders, and then we're gonna jump in and get started. So the collaboration started about 3 years ago in 2018, and it's a membership-based, minority women-owned organization. And our goal was to get like-minded, both professional and entrepreneurial women together to network, to share ideas, to collaborate, to give each other tips, and just help each other grow our businesses. So 2019 was a great year for us. We had monthly in-person luncheons. Every month had a different theme or topic. We talked about business plans, finances, mindset. We had a couple more laid back evening events where we did networking, like a networking happy hour, which was great. And then we had an amazing holiday event in December at a reception hall in the Hamden, Connecticut area that we had a great turnout, lots of vendors, lots of networking. And this year, we did get in one or two luncheons before everything shut down. And after the shutdown, we took a little bit of a break. And then Sam and I kind of got together and said, we need to pivot, right, and start doing online webinars. And so 2 months ago, we had Elisa Bowen Mercado. She owns a beer brewery, a Black women-owned beer brewery in Connecticut. We had a great turnout then, lots of positive feedback, lots of collaboration and networking with her since then. And today we're here with the great Diane Winston, who you'll get to hear from shortly. So again, my name is Letitia Douglas. I did 20 years in the corporate world in the data analytics, database management space. I want to say I'm taking a mini retirement that started last year. I stepped away from corporate, and now my focus is more on organizations such as this one, different community-based events and activities, some board memberships, a little bit of speaking on financial literacy, and I'm also completing my dual grad degree. So that's kind of on my plate for the next year. And we have 4 founders altogether. So we also have Nay Falls. I don't think she was able to join us today due to some scheduling changes. She is the membership director for the organization, and she's also the branch manager at People's Bank in Hamden, Connecticut. So anyone that needs, whether it's personal or business banking, she's a great relationship to start and to reach out to. We also have Sydney Simpkins. She's kind of the mentor of our group, and she does consulting for contract compliance in the construction industry. And last but not least, we have Sammy Williams, who's here with us today. She's the president of the organization, and she's the one that kind of keeps this whole thing going. So I'm gonna hand it over to her. She'll introduce herself further, and she'll also moderate the conversation with Diane.
So thank you. Yes, I am Samantha Williams, president and CEO of Sam's Word, which is primarily a writing and content development firm. I help entrepreneurs and small to mid-sized businesses. Oh, Diane is showing her video now. Entrepreneurs and small to mid-sized businesses with their content needs, anything they need in writing and blogging and web content, copywriting, I do that. I also host workshops on a variety of different topics. It's not even this small anymore. It's a lot of stuff I talk about. And I have a business mentoring and coaching program that is going to be starting in September. And one of my mentees, Keita, is on. She could testify, I'm good. But I am especially proud to have my mentor, Diane Winston, on. I met Diane through, I don't know if you ladies are certified through your business, but we are both members of WeBank, which is a national certification agency. as women business enterprises. I met Diane at a networking, well, it wasn't a networking event, it was a doing business with Pitney Bowes Lunch and Learn. And we've been connected ever since. I heard Diane speak at Quinnipiac University. I believe that was last year. And it was in that session I said, oh, maybe I shouldn't keep Diane to myself. Maybe I should like share her and she can drop these gems for other people, because I get selfish. Like Diane, you'll see, she's amazing. So I am so honored to have Diane Winston, founder of Winston Strategic Partners, who is also a member of our collaboration. And so this, as a member and as my mentor, these are some of the highlights and spotlights that we can do for you, give you a stage to present and share your craft with others, and make sure that you get that exposure. Especially when it comes to minority women, Black women, we want to make sure that we are uplifting and amplifying what you're doing. So Diane, I gave you permission to share your screen. I will allow you to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Sammy, and thank you to the collaboration. It is a pleasure and an honor to, one, be a member, but also and especially to be here today. My company is Winston Strategic Partners, and we're a management consulting firm that specializes in change management strategies to communicate change, as well as leadership development training seminars. And we dabble in diversity and inclusion, but we don't offer that. We do that in collaboration with another firm. And by dabbling, what I mean is that the smaller firms may not have a program whatsoever. Larger firms may want to enhance their existing program. So we're there to help them do that. We're located in Norwalk, and we've been in business for 15 years. So with that, I'd like to get started. When Sammy asked if I would be willing to do just a chat, and we are going to chat, I am going to ask you all to put things in chat so that we keep the discussion going, because it isn't a talk, it's a conversation. And I gave her a couple of titles, and they decided on this one. And I want to talk about, now let me just get my slide up. Host disabled screen. I need to be a co-host.
Oh, I thought maybe you need to. Yeah. Let me see. Are you able to make, oh, you was here first. Are you able to make Diane a co-host? You're on mute.
I did.
I'm good. I'm good
okay.
Now. I got it. Thank you. So our topic is being your authentic self. And what does that mean? You know, we, as women of color, as minority women, we struggle sometimes with having to be two things at work, one thing at work, and another thing when we're not at work. Sometimes we want to be something else when we're somewhere else, like church, or if we're in someone's home for the first time. But the question is being authentic. So I thought we would start with defining it. I'm going to shrink that so I can see. It's really about being genuinely who you are, being real, being original. And we all know that regardless of if you're a minority woman or of a different culture, we tend to be different with our family than we are at work. And that's not what we're talking about. We're not saying that you're not being authentic when you're at work, if you're not the same relaxed mode that you are at home. But what I'd like to do is let's take a journey about from when we're really small and when we really are living in our truth. Now you're going to just see lots and lots of photographs, and I have photographs of women of color, Black women, Asian women, Latino women, women from the Mideast, because it's about minority women. But we as Black women, we tend to get a lot of pushback because the first thing people see when we walk in the door is what? The color of our skin or the texture of our hair. But when we're little, we are really innocent. We welcome other kids. We are free to represent whatever. We have no screens when we speak. The cutest thing is things in life is watching a 2 or 3-year-old have a conversation about something. If they don't like something, you know they don't like something. We are happy, and we are also, when we're not happy, we let you know. But we as adults, as we grow, we tend to learn how to stifle those feelings. We learn how to cover them up, and sometimes we actually push them so far down that it alters who we truly are. I love these little photographs, and what you're going to notice is that I have photographs, and for the most part, everybody's smiling, because we really are happy to be minority women, aren't we? And
Oh, yes.
as you see the little kids getting on the bus, this is when the transformation begins to happen with how we perceive ourselves. We don't perceive ourselves when we're kids. We do not. We actually, the world is ours. So we're happy-go-lucky. We just love ourselves. We love our mommies. We love our daddies. We love our dogs, our cats, our Grammys. We go to school and things begin to influence us. What I'd like to do is tell you about something that influenced me just before I went to kindergarten. I used to play in the backyard. There was a chain link fence between my backyard and this little white girl. And I'm going to call her Sally. And Sally and my older sister was already in kindergarten. And Sally and I, during the day when we both went out, would play through the chain link fence. And, I don't even know what we played. Rocks, we're drawing in the dirt. We couldn't get to each other because of the chain link fence, but she was by herself, I was by myself. And as a kid, you make friends, right? Well, one day Sally came out and Sally said, "My daddy said you're colored."
Mm.
And I said, "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are. My daddy said you're colored." What do you think that did to me? Chat me up. How do you think that made me feel? I didn't even know what the word colored meant. I was maybe 3.
I think it made you question, how are you different? How are you different?
Yes. Did it make me feel any way? I felt like the way she said it, it was dirty, something dirty. And I was denying that I was.
Can you see the chat, Diane?
I can't. I'm going to look to
Okay,
you
so
to read the chat.
Randy says confused, othered. Keisha said like a bad thing.
Yep.
Walida, I hope I didn't say it wrong, says different, unwanted, not
Yep.
accepted,
Yep.
confused.
Yep.
It made you realize that there was a difference between you and her.
Mm-hmm. And unlike how I handled it with my son, because I was woke, right? My parents were a different generation where people were still calling us colored. And so at the dinner table, I said to my mom and dad, I said, "Sally said that I'm colored. Am I?" And they didn't respond. They looked at each other and put their head down. What did they do to me? They didn't affirm me, and they didn't mean to make me feel anything, but they didn't affirm me, nor did they negate what she said. Now, we've all had experiences like this as women, particularly as minority women. We have had at different times in our life where people begin to define us. And so we go through elementary school, we go through middle school, we go through, particularly getting through middle school to high school. That's difficult, right? See, these girls right here, the little one down in the left-hand corner, she's still just a cute little munchkin. But the others are now going to school, and they're still seeing themselves as something. They're seeing themselves, this young lady at the top left, she's seeing herself as a teacher or a professor. And the one in the lower right hand corner, she sees herself in the WBA. And the sister up in the upper right hand corner, she's just glad to be studying. She likes going to school. Now that sister in the center, she wants to be an astronaut, and there's not anybody that's going to tell her she's not going to be an astronaut, because she's young and she hasn't necessarily been subjected to somebody else projecting who they say she is. Sally said her daddy said I was colored. My daddy said you were colored. And that made me feel like it was something dirty and different and definitely not equal. But my parents, because they didn't know how to at that time, they didn't reinforce me to tell me, you, even if they said colored, it's a beautiful thing. So
Keita says, Diane, we are still living in these moments. Woo.
Yes, we are, which is why we're having this conversation. Because I dare you to bring your authentic self everywhere you go. And the only way that you can do that is for us to have this conversation and to acknowledge how we have had other people dictate who we are, how we're supposed to dress. I went to Citibank in 1980. In 1980, when a whole bunch of Black folks, they had just started letting us in the door. And I looked around and I didn't see a lot of Black women. And I went with this little curly do. And I looked around, I saw one sister and her hair was like this now, like mine is straight now. Well, I went running and started wearing my hair straight. And you do not wear color on your nails as a woman back then. Forget being a Black woman. And you had to wear pantyhose, but I know a lot of y'all don't know what those are. They are tights, but they're nylon, okay? I had somebody say to me, well, what is in Bloomingdale's? Well, a young girl, what are pantyhose? Okay, I digress. So
we know.
Some of you do. But the bottom line is, as we grow up and we begin to experience life, whether it is at school or even at work, we're taking in other people's impressions of us, and it begins to cause us to change. And so as you see in this photograph, there are many different profiles here, and we are morphing into who we're going to be. And sometimes we're conscious of it and sometimes we are not. I knew I straightened my hair for acceptance, but I also knew, but it wasn't the leader, the driver for me, that I was as smart as I could be, when regardless of how my hair was, it wasn't going to take away from my smartness, how smart I was, my intellect, my ability. But because the world told me that in order to be accepted, in order to be promoted, I had to have my hair a certain way, I did it. And I'm so happy with the sisters today who are rocking their hair. And I mean rocking their hair. However they want it to be, they are rocking their hair because they're bringing their authentic self. Now that's a visual look at themselves, but they're bringing their authentic self to the table. Now, understand it can be natural, or it could be something that isn't quite natural, but it's okay, because we have arrived as a sisterhood to say, do it as you like, however you like. And the sisters who are sporting bald heads, I'm like, just go on with your bad self. I love it. I absolutely love it. Sisters are just saying, I don't want to be bothered, and they're taking it off. And then there are sisters who are locking their hair. There are sisters who are wearing, I learned this one the other day because I was looking for someone to put braids in my hair, sister locks, their wigs. There are all kinds of things that we do today that we have access to, and there's a certain freedom about that. And it isn't a compromise to our authenticity. I see it more as a freedom to be whoever I want to be today. I want to hear from you. How has your environment at school, college, or at work caused you to alter who you are, if it ever has? Let me hear from you. And you can come off mute and talk.
Yes, so Diane, I put in the chat that Black women are natural code switchers.
Yes.
We're code switchers. That's what we do. We have to. We have to turn it on, turn it off in many different areas. But especially if we're still in corporate and we want to keep our jobs, we have to code switch. So underneath that, Candy said, yes, we are. Walida said, amen. Jennifer says, honestly, it's exhausting. It's unfortunate that many of these things I don't even think about until it's brought up to me, usually from other Black women who are struggling in their confidence with their features, skin, or hair.
Yeah.
So, let me hear it from you.
Yeah, so like I'm one of the few that's still in corporate America, and what you're saying resonating so much to me because my job title, I am a VP branch manager, and I'm African.
So this is Nay Fall, our
Yes.
other co-founder. She joined us late. So welcome,
Yes.
Nay.
Thank you. And I'm African. I wasn't even born here, so I came with my culture. I want to wear my colors. I am just, I would say, Diane, in the past 2 years, comfortable enough where I could go to work with my African gowns and everything. But people still look at you. They still like, where are you from? Where did you get this? What does it matter? So as Black women, we are always being judged through different lenses. And it's just, what you are saying is so amazing.
So let me ask you a question. So when they ask you, what do you tell them and how do you tell them?
Oh, everybody that knows me knows that I scream my Africanity. I am proud of it. Born and raised, speak different languages. I am, Sammy will tell you that, Letitia, or anybody that knows me. I always say, what do you mean? I got this clothes from my country. I am an American citizen, but I still, claim my nationality because it's who I am. It is tough.
As well, you should.
Yeah.
And this is the whole point. And hats off to you, sister. This is the whole point about being our authentic selves everywhere. It took me 15 years at Citibank. I was there for a total of 20.
Yes.
15 years to grow out my perm.
Yep.
One lunch hour, and I had goddess braids in to grow out the perm over a year. And I went to lunch and I came back and I had my hair in coils. Cut it off and it was in coils. And everybody was shocked. And all the Black people were giving me high fives. And my boss, who was not Black, he said, "What did you do to your hair?"
Yep.
And I said, "Your wife did not train you well. You never say to a woman, 'What did you do to your hair?' What you ask her is, 'Oh, you have a different hairstyle.'" So I explained that I'm now rocking my natural hair. But it took me 15 years to realize I'm not the one that has a problem with my authenticity.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with my broad nose. I don't have a problem with my African back. I don't have a problem with the cadence of my conversation. Somebody else does. So it got to be an OPP thing, right? OPP, other people's problem. And because the way that I went into the bank and the way that I left the bank were two different things. It took me 15 years of self-discovery that no matter how hard I worked, it wasn't about my hair, it was about my intellect. It was about my ability to collaborate and to work across the aisle with other people. It was my ability to stop and listen before I spoke and to keep myself checked so that I'm not popping off on people unless I have to. And even that, you do that in a certain way.
Yes, you do.
Being in two cultures, we have to learn how to live in those cultures without giving ourselves up.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
We have two more comments.
Yep.
Walida says, I did the opposite. I started wearing my hair natural in 2017 for the first time. Many people at work looking at me like they disapprove. I hold my head up high and keep it moving with a smile.
That's
Babs
right.
Alexander says, yes, indeed. When I'm marketing, I change my presence to look more like them. And at first, for so long, I would never let them know the owner of the company was Black. The face of my company was white because they would not talk to me. Dr. Jennifer says, yes, live in two cultures. Her story. Takia says, in corporate, I often straighten my hair. After I started getting comfortable, I want more natural looks. My colleagues always questioned my hair and asked a ton of questions like it was foreign. Meanwhile, I was confused because I'm like, it's just hair. Sheesh.
Yes, except when in Rome is the expectation. But with the browning of America, okay.
I'm
With the
struggling
browning,
with this right now, just because as far as like with the different jobs that I've been in, this has, I mean, this is a very serious issue, but just to see how many of you women are code switching on and off, and whether we like it or not, that plays a huge part on our mental at some point, you know, to have to keep up in so many different levels, different areas of our life. So just to kind of see this at this point, like I had to make a decision when my children are, I birthed all of them, but I have light-skinned children and I have dark-skinned children. And I remember I gave my daughter, she was like 3 years old, and my son a bath together. And she grabbed the towel and she said, Mommy, scrub me harder, scrub the dirt off my skin so I could look like my brother.
Ah,
That ripped through me so hard because
At 3,
she was 3 years old and she's already recognizing that this is a difference. And my son is not only light like his father, but he also had blue eyes at the time. Now they're more like green. However, we were experiencing that just from the family. So at that point, and my husband, no, I cried because I was like, what do I do? At that point, I made it a point to celebrate not only my Blackness, but hers and his.
That's right.
I went out I went out looking for people to make dolls. I went out getting every bit of kente cloth I could find. I found, you know, there was no more straightening. I threw out the curlers. I got rid of the straighteners. I rocked my hair. I went on YouTube. I started putting twists in. And the shift came from, I always got, is that your hair? Or what is that? Or, you know, where I live, I'm in Central PA, so they would want to touch.
yes.
But it was that moment. My daughter was 3 and my son had to be maybe 1 almost. And it was like, I need to scrub dirt off my skin. And I was like, this is not okay. And she was just now starting school. And of course, at the time, you know, she was the only Black girl at her school. So, you know, there's a lot of dynamics now, but looking at what everyone has been posting, after that moment I had with my own child, I will never go back. I will rock the froze until the death of me, my curls. And if you want to wear the wigs, go ahead. I rock a natural one. I make clips. But I had to tell my daughter that she is beautiful.
Absolutely.
And that no one should ever make her feel like she can't be herself.
Absolutely.
And I've even left jobs because of that. And I know it sucks and I've had to struggle, but being yourself will kill your mental if you can't express who you are. Like I see you guys saying, yes, I'll just turn it on and turn it off. But at some point you can't do it no more. It hurts.
So that's why Randy, one of our members also in our comments said, that's why I started working for myself. DJ Net says great parenting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think unlike my parents' generation, when I said I was woke, you all are younger than I am. So you're more woke than I was. And even though I was a single mom, I had to do what I had to do in order to keep that job. Because remember what I said, as in Rome. See, let's get real about this. For those of us that need to pay that rent or the mortgage or put food on the table or pay whatever to support our children, we're going to do what we need to do. However, it doesn't mean you can't bring your authentic self, because I'm not saying our authentic self is just our physical self. It's more than just that, which is what I want to get into. Keita, I applaud you. Thank you. Thank you. Raising a Black man, and this is what I said to my son the whole time that I was raising him. Halle Berry was who was beautiful.
Mm.
And Halle Berry is a gorgeous sister, but she's also a mixed sister. And I had to take images that he was seeing, and I had to find me an African, true African sister on Ebony's cover with her black skin, jet black, beautiful velvet skin, and her broad nose and her thick lips and her little tight afro. And I would say to my son, oh my God, look at how gorgeous she is. Oh, she's beautiful. Look at how beautiful she is. Because we have to remember, if we don't embrace our beauty, our children are not going to embrace it, because there's going to be influences outside of the home that are going to be telling them something else. Remember what Sally said to me? Sally said, I was dirty. She might as well said, you're dirty. My daddy said, you're dirty. And all she said was I was colored, but I had nothing to bounce that off of. Now, I put these women in because they are women of color. And while this organization may be predominantly African American, I want us to remember that we have sisters across the aisle who in one way or another may be going through challenges as well. And we need to reach our hands out and hold hands with them, because as I said before Keita spoke, it's the browning of America. There's no stopping. There's no stopping it. And as we continue to brown and people of color begin to become the majority, this isn't about hating anyone that's not of color. It's about embracing our sisters, and I'm only talking sisters right now, who are of color, because these ladies, believe me, they go through things. Now, how many of you have been in the imposter syndrome at work? Because no matter, okay, Sammy, I see your hand. How many of you have sat in a conference room and you have said something and it was overlooked, ignored, and then some white guy turns around and says exactly the same thing, and it's good idea?
We've lived it.
Yeah, I've had that. This is Candy. Everyone who spoke so far, I have stories. I can write a book on it. Like my other African sister, I am African. Born there, spent a couple of years there, came here because there was a civil war. I understand 2 languages. I speak one partially. The switching code, I'm an expert at it, but I'm also for people who don't really know me and get to know me, and it's like, oh, I didn't know. I said, oh no, don't get it twisted. I tell everybody I'm from Liberia, West Africa. Friends I grew up with here, went to college. I made it known I was African. And it's no disrespect to my other sisters of color and other sisters of other color or groups, because I noticed when I went to high school here and growing up, I went from, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with New Jersey, but I came from an area in Liberia where it was like Montclair, New Jersey, thrown into Newark, New Jersey in 1990. Yeah. So one thing that has taken me so far through life has been respecting people, no matter where you're from, how you look, what title you have, respect. But going to imposter syndrome, I had a former VP who sat in a meeting, actually said something that I did, give himself credit for it while I'm sitting in there.
Yeah.
My boss was sitting there and her mouth dropped to the floor and she looked at me, and after the meeting she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "No." And she said, "Just let it out, because I know and other people know it was you, not him." So, oh yes.
Yeah.
Indeed, good for you that you had a manager who had your back that way. It's unfortunate that somebody didn't call the VP on it right then in the room, but that's that hierarchy stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of the things that happens to us because we get overlooked. Somebody else takes our ideas. Somebody else puts their name on our reports. Somebody else gets the credit for it, and we begin to question our value. Beware. No one can say your value except you. Don't let anyone define your value except you. We have other sisters here. We have sisters who are Asian. And right now, our Chinese brothers and sisters are going through some stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They are going through some stuff. So this is what I mean about reach across the aisle and hold hands, because we all, Muslims in this country, the Mexicans in this country, all have been up against something recently because of someone who shall remain unnamed.
I can name them if you want, Diane.
No.
Remains unnamed.
No, we
Okay.
got 70 some more days. Okay.
Okay.
All right. But how about this? How about being in relationships, love relationships? Some of you, like myself, I went through a divorce with my son's father. This is why I was a single mom. How about getting a rejection letter for a job that you know you're qualified for, or going for an apartment that you know it was available when you talk to the realtor, but when you show up, it's no longer available. Or how about that sister girl who you thought was your ace boon coon, and turns out she really wasn't in your corner. We're rejected on so many levels at so many different angles. No wonder we can't be our authentic selves. But I challenge you to dig deep. Find you in there, because you're there. And what we experience is not necessarily a unique experience. Women have been going through this forever. It's just we happen to have it on top of being a woman. We tend to also be a woman of color or women of color. And so now reach a little further across the aisle to the sisters who are not of color because of what they've gone through. Some of those sisters really are standing there in our corner. I have had, and probably you have as well, white colleagues and friends who've reached out and said, what can I do? When they saw George Floyd be murdered. And so everybody went and bought white fragility. And when I get a video or something, I send it to them because everybody knew it was going on, but to watch it and to experience it, it shuttered something. And so for those folks, white people who want to make and be the change, allow them to be. Let's not put a corner on that and say only we can make that change. We all have to make that change. And one of the things about being authentic is have that conversation. Be willing to have that conversation with your white friends or your white colleagues or your white co-workers. No, you don't represent all Black voices. No, you're not the representative for all Black voices.
And also, Diane, have the conversation without the laugh out loud behind it to kind of soften it.
That's exactly my point. Have an authentic, to the heart conversation. I cannot have anyone white tell me they know what it's like, because they've been discriminated against as a woman, not as a Black woman you have not experienced.
Right.
And so it's like people want to be able to, they want to be able to tell you that they understand. And I'm sure to some extent they do. But when I get up in the morning and I go out, my child lives now, he's grown and he lives in San Jose in a really nice neighborhood with his Black wife, hallelujah. But he lives in an all-white neighborhood. And at 41, he's concerned about being out on his bike in his community. And so he says he has to make sure when they have their block barbecues. Him and his wife are out there sharing it with everybody else because he wants them to know he has a right to be there. He lives there. He pays that mortgage. But that's the piece that our white sisters and brothers don't understand. We're always having to think about being Black when we're out there.
Yeah, there was a recent video I just shared too with a Black homeowner who the cops questioned him for walking around his house and thought he was suspicious.
And I want to say that these are anomalies. I want to hope these are anomalies. I want to hope. But what I am going to tell you is in this recent environment we live in, permission has been given to be racist.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So it's almost becoming the norm as opposed to an anomaly.
Yes.
Yeah.
But for a police officer to go up to someone who is around their house and arrest them, that's what? Or question them, what?
Yeah.
And when you listen on the news, are you looking at more photos of Black suspects or white suspects?
Mm.
There are subtle things that we see and our children see that you've got to counter.
And it's funny how you say the word suspect and how we all know how Black people are viewed in the media and things. When you say suspect, people are going to think Black person anyway, right? We know when it's a mass shooter, they're not going to be called a terrorist. We know that.
Yeah. And
I want to go. Oh, go ahead, Nay.
I'm sorry. I am gonna go back to me being from a different culture. I've always said I came in here in 1998, and from somebody that was born and raised in Africa, I never experienced racism until I set foot in America. Now, I've been in other countries, but it's over here that every time you open your mouth, somebody asks you where you're from. How, it's like you are being questioned. I've been to France, I've been to Switzerland. But it is amazing, and we are acting like it's okay. I had to tell somebody at work, well, we had this conversation, and he said something about, well, it's not fair. I said, let me ask you something. You have 2 sons, right? Yes. Have you had a conversation with them about be careful out there? You can't pick your phone up. You can't do this when you're being pulled over. Yes, I said, I have a son and 4 brothers that lives in America. And every night I see a shooting or something, I want to make sure they're not on TV. That's the difference. Unless you are there, don't talk to me. It's tough.
And unfortunately, that is our reality.
It is.
But you can't be mad at him because he doesn't understand our reality.
Yeah.
And so the way that you gave him the example about his sons, that shifts a little bit because now he understands.
Yep.
See, this is having those authentic conversations. It's about bringing your authentic self everywhere. Let me keep going. Let me keep rolling here.
You want me to go to some of the comments? You want to hear some of those?
Please.
So Miss Brianna, who me and Diane chatted with yesterday, she said, speak on it. It's literally a fight every day trying to source stock images of dark-skinned Black women. And I've seen that too. You go and you can tell everybody pulling the same pictures of the same Black women. When Lita says, I recently learned about the imposter syndrome at Walden University. It's a thing. It's a real thing. Sammy put the link in to become a member. Dr. Jennifer says, Candy, my husband is from Newark, eh? Randy says that this just happened to her. Takia said, don't say the name. Walita said, even by our own sometimes, yes. Keita said, you are hitting facts. Come on, Diane. Andrea says, living in the Fernando Valley, I constantly apply for positions in the school system, even my children's school where they know me well. Each year for the past 4 years, I have applied for the same position and I have never been called back once. I feel like I am never called because they know they cannot control me. I speak the truth always. I recently brought it to the attention of one of the principals, crickets. They were speechless because they never thought I would call them out on the behaviors call them out on the behaviors of the front office.
So I say go past the principal and try the superintendent of schools. Nobody wants that publicity.
True.
Nobody wants that publicity. And then be prepared to be a little bit shunned when you get there. So, but we have to break ground somehow, some way.
And
That
that's
is
so
our
funny.
responsibility.
You say that, and I look to your slide, you have rejected. So we're going to push. And like we say, we always got to work 10 times harder. We always got to show up 10 times better. We got to be 10 times as educated, have more experience just to get work through those initial rejections.
But we've been here, I'm talking African Americans who came on the slave ship. Our ancestors came on the slave ship. We've been here 400 years. And I saw a sister last night accept a nomination. So we got to keep working through those rejections. We have to keep, but what I think the biggest piece I want to make, because I'm not trying to bring up and make this a gripe session or a negative session. I want to talk about our realities, but it's about how do we equip ourselves to move through those rejections, to move through the feelings of sexism and racism. How do we equip ourselves? And I think this organization is the beginning, the collaboration, because it's about us as sisters working together and propping each other up, and also bringing each other to the side and saying, well, you know what? That wasn't necessarily a good way of doing that. See, that authenticity means being honest with each other in order to strengthen each other.
That accountability too.
Exactly. So here's some more sisters. You see this one is rocking some tats, and that is definitely a generational thing. I have two holes in my ear. That's it. You know.
You ain't got no tattoos, Diane?
Yeah. When I do, you'll be wondering what happened to Diane. Not that they're wrong. They just don't. It's not for me. And then there are our sisters who are Muslim. What have they been through?
Yep.
Right? They may not be our color. They may not be rocking this dark pigment, but having their heads covered, what do they go through? Right?
Yeah. And I will say too, I don't know what other Muslims we have on the call, but I know Nay, one of our co-founders, is. And here in Connecticut, there was a mosque. They set a mosque on fire.
Yes, and recently in Denver, Colorado, 5 people from the same family were burned to death.
Oh yes, that was horrific.
So and you know, I'm the imposter, because you will never look at me and think Muslim, but I was born and raised from like generations, and you know, it doesn't change who I am. But as soon as I said I'm Muslim, people like back up, and you know, it's different. I don't even go to the mosque anymore because I don't feel safe.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That is sad.
I don't know who's gonna walk up there and shoot it up.
And I hope no one, but I do understand that.
So we have some comments. We have some ladies who have to drop. We are scheduled through what time are we scheduled through?
3:30.
Okay, so we have another half hour, but Diane, people are asking for a part 2. They're not done with you yet, okay?
Yes.
So let's see here. In the Juanita said this is systemic racism. Yes, it is. I also want to shout out our member Randy. Is Randy still here? Randy is a anti-racism activist, and she does this for her job, her career that she created. She works for herself. There she is. There's Randy. I know Randy's enjoying this right now.
Hello.
We'll need a part 2 because I know Randy want to chime in too. You saying something, Randy?
Your sound is.
Yeah, so I had just put in that you can hear me. Maybe it's because I'm using
your sound is
my
choppy.
headset.
Yeah, it's a little choppy.
I apologize.
We can't hear you, Randy. We'll come back to you. Latrice says, I agree. Let's continue this conversation. Keita said, when you are being pushed out, do you fight or leave and find better? The truth is we all need each other, but why are we so closed-minded about cultures? Why not learn to embrace each other? Letitia says, yes, part 2. Takia says, or the subtle indirect racism of people being shocked that we are intelligent, or as they call it, well-spoken, or talking white, right? Because I got that all the time growing up. You sound like a white person.
Which brings that whole talking white thing. See, that also messes with our authenticity. Because I was told I talked right white too, and I grew up in the Black community, the hood, yeah. And what is that? Do white people have a corner on speaking this way? But we tend to judge each other and make it like it's a bad thing. Somebody calls you bougie. What is bougie? Bougie is a French word that means middle class. I hope you're bougie.
For sure. Yes.
But this is what we do to each other. And I didn't want to get into that because I know we have a mixed audience, but we need to hold each other up. When we see each other doing well, we need to go right on as opposed to finding something wrong with it. Sisters, if you see a sister wearing something and it is just as sharp, you don't even need to know her. See her on the street somewhere and just say, sister, you're rocking that. Sister, you are rocking that. We need to give accolades to each other.
Randy says, bougie and ratchet. That's what we do. And then she says, I am her, she is me. Jennifer said, Sammy, it's because New Yorkers enunciate all our syllables.
Well, I'm always being told I speak perfect English. Oh, you don't have an accent, really? I know I do have an accent. So for me, it's not I speak bougie, I speak perfect English, like I'm not supposed to.
Right.
Matter of fact, and you're speaking what, 3 languages?
Yes, but
they
yeah,
can't even speak English. So.
I speak 3 languages. Yeah, you know I don't even speak perfect English, but.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Yeah, this is, we have all these influences. They come from ourselves, our own community, our own people, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our uncles. But something happens. And that something starts to happen around 30. Women tend to start making a turn at around 30. We start getting self-aware. And it's now like, well, no, I don't like that. Or no, I love this. Or this is who I am. This is who I'm.
Confidence.
Something happens at 30. You know, we go from being children and then middle school and then high school where there's all those clique things. And then you go, for those who are fortunate enough to go to college, we go to college, and then you find a circle of friends at college. And if you go to a predominantly white college, you tend to find that circle with the other Black students. We had a Black house at NYU when I was there. And then you go on into the workplace, and there you are, maybe 1 or 2 or not many people of color in the room again. But something happens as we begin to experience life. We also begin to recognize who we are, and we begin to recognize and appreciate what we bring to the table. And then we begin to recognize what we want to be. And that's the point in time that I say, world, y'all better watch out. The sisters are on the move. And it's not just Black sisters, it's not just sisters of color, it's women. We tend to begin to find our own space and our own rhythm around our 30s. So you know, when we start getting into our 40s and our 50s, we're a hot mess, right? So I'm going to now just show you a series of photographs of sisters as we are aging and we're coming into our own and what we are about. And this one sister is a Muslim and she's a doctor and she's cool with that. These sisters are rocking it. There's the sister in the middle on the bottom, the 2 sisters in the middle on the bottom are just proud women. They just, the way they are just standing there, they're proud women. These are very proud women. I don't know how many of you come from Indian, and I say Indian versus Native American, because all Mexicans come from an Indian base, Native Americans, and there's various tribes in the
We see
Native
you,
America.
Rosa.
We come, my family, hails, my father's side of the family is Cherokee. So I have the African and the Cherokee together. And so it's like, if I could find all the records of my family, I would be amazed at where we came from the motherland, and then where in the Cherokee tribe. I know they started in Louisiana and came on down to Texas, and then had to flee Texas so that people didn't get hung. And that's all I know.
Well,
But
Diane, if you pay the white people, you can pay them to tell you where they took you from. So you got that too.
what are you talking about?
Like Ancestry.
Oh, I have done the Ancestry. It's all over. Another conversation, Sammy. So as I said, so we're moving along here, but I want you to look at the sisters here and what they're doing and how self-assured they look. The sister in the lower left-hand corner, the sister who's exercising. These women have turned that corner and they know who they are. And now it's about pouring into each other. And that's what I like about this organization. It is about a concerted effort to pour into each other. Continuing, these are Latina women pouring into each other.
Let's look at the comments. Walida says, as a little girl, I was told that I was an Oreo for my own people because of the way I speak. Keita says, preach, but imagine if we found that confidence before 30. Our sister Brianna had to leave. She got devastating news of a death in the family.
Oh,
Yeah, so we are holding her up right now.
yeah.
Rosa says, I have Native South American blood. Keita says it's free from universities as well. Oh, the Ancestry thing, Keita? Okay.
So
Yes, if you're a student or an employee, or even if you're an employee and you have like a spouse or someone there, it's free. So I found that out maybe, I want to say, right before our shutdown. So a lot of people did not know that, but it is free to you.
if you're a student or an employee of the university?
Yes, and then if you are a spouse of an employee or you have a child, they can use the service that's free as well.
Oh, excellent. Thanks for sharing that. I'm in the home stretch now. I'm going to try to make it to the 3:30 mark and even before, but I like your comments and I want to continue. I want to invite you to continue to be a part of this discussion. There's another aspect of us that helps us to find our true self, and it's our faith. You know, it's our faith. And Black folks, we tend to go all the way in when it's faith, but we're not the only ones. And that's the piece I want to make, because as I have shown you or shared photographs of sisters from different walks of life, that thing called faith is what sustains us all. I love this little girl. She is so earnest in it. And the sister in the lower right reminds me of growing up in Somerset, New Jersey. Somebody said something about West Orange, and somebody said something, I think the same person said something about Montclair. Yeah, I came from Montclair to Chicago to Connecticut. So our faith is where we can find strength. I wonder why this isn't moving. Okay. We find strength in prayer, in our faith. We find strength in coming together to worship and to pray. No matter what your faith is, we all find strength in it. And that's part of our authentic selves, our faith. If you can't bring that with you, I don't know how to separate my faith as a Christian from my conversation when I'm with you, or even at work. I'll tell somebody, I'll be praying for you. And I mean that, I will. And I've even been known to just stop and say to someone, may I pray with you? Just like Sandy said, in terms of Brianna having just lost someone, she said, we have to hold her up. We have to remember her in prayer. But there's another part of discovering our true selves, and this brings it on in terms of this organization. We also discover our true selves when we have an opportunity to work together. Sometimes you may think that you're a leader, and then you're faced with someone who's really a great leader. Or maybe you are working with someone who's a really excellent listener, and you start realizing some things about yourself. Or maybe you didn't realize that you were a great leader. Or maybe you didn't realize that you're a strategic thinker. Because if you're only working with yourself, you're not going to necessarily realize that. But when we work with others, and particularly when we have an objective that we're working on, something we're collaborating on, we bring all of ourselves together and we come together in that one little green arrow. We're moving together, but we're also learning about ourselves. Collaborating with women is an awesome thing. There is nothing like women getting together to make things happen. And I am certainly excited about the opportunity to work with this collaboration and to see what we might be able to do to change the world for women of color, for our communities, and especially for our children. So this is almost my last slide. We can achieve more together than we can apart. Let's not be crabs in a barrel when it comes to opportunities. How about we reach out and share information just like Keita did about where we can get the ancestry or genetics done for free. If you know about an opportunity and you know there's a person, a sister, or even a child that's looking for a job and you know about an opportunity, make the effort and share that. It's time that we as a people begin to surround ourselves with each other as resources. You know, the Black Lives Matter movement is now saying, buy Black. Keystone Bank. Who knows Keystone Bank? Online Connecticut Black bookstore. I didn't know about it. Someone shared that with me. Online bank, One United, largest online Black-owned bank in the nation. Let's start putting our money together. Let's start showing that we have spending power on more than Pepsi and Coke and makeup. And let's start putting our money together. Let's start, and I think you said something about having financial education or something through the collaboration. We need to start talking about how we can begin to create wealth if we're working every day. If we're working every day.
That's a great point. And I am talking to Letitia now about planning a financial literacy panel. We have a lot of financial literacy experts in our collaboration, and I want to get them all together, highlight them, spotlight them. And I also want to mention when you said when you're working alone, you may not be able to pick up on your own strengths and your own attributes. And the same is true when you're working in a group of, as Randy says, people who don't identify as Black, and they don't celebrate and let you understand that you have these strengths. When you get around like minds and, you know, us sister friends, we're going to say, wow, you're really good at that. I didn't know you could do that. Can you help me with this? So when people aren't pouring into you, you may not be able to self-identify with these strengths.
That's true. And then the other thing I want you to be real okay with, recognizing when you recognize that you're good at something, own it.
Yeah.
Own it. Somebody said something to me once about, well, why did that client pick you? And I said, well, besides being very good at what I do, it's because I put together a comprehensive proposal, because I'm a writer. I understand that it's about answering the question, not necessarily selling how wonderful my company is, but answering the question and saying what how we're going to approach, the work to solve their problem. But it is about me being good. I know I'm good. I'm not good because I just said I'm good. I'm good because I've had the experience. I've accepted the challenge. I'm not good because I'm Black. I'm good because my mind is sharp. I'm good because I got my education. I'm good because I've worked hard and I've paid the price of going through all these different fires. And then I happen to be Black.
As a bonus.
As a bonus, So I think we as women need to start owning our strengths. I think we need to start owning it. And by all means, information has no value if you don't give it away.
No. Go ahead, Letitia.
Yes, Diane, I don't know if you remember, but when we met last year at an event and I started to introduce myself, she stopped me and made me start
Women
over.
in Business Summit.
Yes, she made me start over and own what I was saying or how I was introducing myself. So that always stuck with me since then.
And you have to always represent yourself well. And we don't like to do it, or we're shy about doing it, or we think that we're boasting. No, I'm no. Yeah, no.
I'm just that great. I would say, because I have some of my own mentees on the line too, and they know what Sammy would say, own it. Definitely own it. Brag about it, monetize it, and then add tax to it. Get paid for your knowledge. We are so good at undervaluing ourselves and our prices and our services. And look, the white people not, so why are we? Add tax to that and make people come up to where you are.
And I think this is my final slide, almost. This is the power of authenticity. It's being you, and it's bringing you everywhere. So I want to hand you that power, and I want to say, grab it. I want to say, own it. I want to say, rock you, and remember to bring somebody up with you. Reach back. Bring somebody up, then bring another one up, and then bring another one up, because we're still breaking down barriers. This is the world that we want, and the only way it's going to happen is if we bring it. So with that, I say thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm right here. We have a few minutes.
All right, ladies, come off of mute. Let's chat. Peter's texting me.
Diane, I'm just curious, or Sammy, how would I even go about just, this is so knowledgeable, and I feel like so many other women, they need this. They need to hear this. Could you be booked for anything? Like, is there a certain department through the university where I'm at where I could go through them and ask if you could do a training, or they could pay you for your services? I mean,
you will never hear me say no when you say pay me for my services.
Well, they have to. The university always has money. My department always has money. It doesn't make sense not to network and get. I mean, we have one mill where I'm at. It's all women and all different cultures, backgrounds, and you were just hitting on so much. Folks need to.
I welcome it. I welcome it. This is my contact information.
Okay.
Sammy would you put my email in the chat, and my cell number?
This would be an amazing training here.
Well, I welcome it, and
share this.
I welcome your questions and any other points of discussion that you might have.
Hi, Diane. I was on another call. It might have been through the WBDC where I first heard you speak, and you were fantastic then. You're fantastic now. So thank you for being here. For me, I would say what I struggle with is more remaining charged, right? Because I feel like a lot of my energy is used up diffusing things. So I made the comment earlier about like you were talking about being your authentic self. That's always been very easy for me. I've had natural hair since 1999. So, I mean, that wasn't hard for me. I'm very outspoken. I pretty much say exactly what's on my mind. That's not difficult. What I notice happening to me very often is what I had said, people bringing up their issues. And like I remember years ago when I went natural, someone said to me, before I was transitioning, so I wasn't done. And they were like, well, what are you going to do with your hair? And I was like, what? So like, I'm in instances where I'm totally fine with something, but then someone else brings it up as if I should be still struggling with it. So that's one thing. And then when I went natural, she proceeded to, the same person said, oh, well, your hair is different. So that's why, because it's not as kinky as XYZ. So I find that in this process of like being okay with yourself, with everything, with all the features we deal with as Black women, from skin color, hair texture, everything, sometimes, unfortunately, I find it's like it's ourselves who are struggling with things and are looking to each, like, how are you okay with being you? Because I'm not okay. And so I find myself having to recharge with that. The other thing that happens pretty often, I don't necessarily feel imposter syndrome in workspaces. For me, it was more so like in medical school or those kinds of places where, you know, you're just never good enough. Like no matter what you do, it's never good enough. But what has happened to me is really excelling in other people's businesses, making them a lot of money, and not being properly compensated or acknowledged for it. That's been more of it. So in those two instances, two different instances, but how do you remain charged after losing so much energy dealing with things that you kind of blow past, like I'm good, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but then it resurfaces and then you have to question, am I really good? You know?
Okay. So remember that one slide where I said we also find our true selves and what we believe in? Sometimes you have to recharge through our faith. I mean, really, we have to recharge through our faith. And that to me is not pie in the sky, because we are all spirits. We are all spirit people. We all have spirits that you're listening to my voice, but it's my spirit that you're connecting with, right? And we have to, just like eating well, getting good sleep, trying to exercise, we have to put time in, whether you do meditation, whether you do prayer, whether you do read the Bible, whether you pray, we have to stop and recharge spiritually. Because our battle is not going to stop because we go a certain level. I promise you. It's not going to stop. And so it's important that you stop and recharge. You have to stop and recharge. And then there are days when, and I had one of those days earlier this week, and I was on with a client, and she happens to now be a friend. But we're working on a project that's pretty important to me. But I was overwhelmed with some things in my personal life. And I said to her, I'm sorry, I'm not good right now. And I started to cry. Now, I said she's my friend, because if she wasn't, I would have probably pulled it off, right? But I knew it was a safe place. I started to cry. And the sister said, let me pray. And she prayed for me on Zoom. I'm looking at her like I'm looking at you. And she prayed and I wept. Sometimes we have to let it go and let it release it from ourselves so that we can regroup. So you can't be perfect with this management stuff, girl. Look, we're gonna keep getting it. You're gonna get it until the day we lay down. Because if it doesn't come from the traditional sources, it's gonna come from somewhere else. You know, people like to differentiate whether you're tall or you're short or you're fat or you're skinny or you have blonde hair, you have blue eyes, green. We always like to separate ourselves by something. So you're always going to be faced with it. But I applaud you because you're still here. You're still kicking it. Let me encourage you. Let me tell you that you are fantastic. let me tell everybody on this call that
Mhm.
you all got it going on because you're on the call. You made the effort to be on the call. And take that and know that this is one sister who is proud to be a part of the organization, but I'm also proud to be a Black woman, and there ain't nothing like us. There's nothing like a Black woman.
Amen.
And I've got a cohort of sisters who are, none of them are Black, from being in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses. We meet monthly. And when this George Floyd murder showed up, this is when they really wanted to talk. And I said to them then, we had an authentic talk. They want to keep learning. They are so hurt that by my stories of what I've been through. But I also had to say to them how good I feel about being a Black woman. I said, I love the cadence of our walk. I love our talk. When I look at President Obama walk, I'm like, yep, there it is. There goes that swagger. And nobody has that but our brothers. You know, we have our own language. We have, how many times have you passed a Black person on the street, you didn't know them, but you nodded, you said hi. We have our own language. And so there is something very special about us as a people. And then there's something particularly special about us as women. So with that, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I am available to any of you, just one sister to another. Reach out to me because we can't make it without each other. And Sammy knows I'm committed to that.
Yes. Thank you, Diane. And I can tell you, when you reach out to Diane, you might be on the phone for hours. It's just good. You don't want to stop. And me and Diane get on the phone. I'm like, Diane, I had a full calendar today. She's like, oh, but I love it. I love it. But yes, thank you so much, Diane, for coming. And I'm glad I shared you with the rest of the collaboration. We are so proud to have you amongst us. I've been putting the link to join the collaboration. If you are not a member of the collaboration of minority women professionals, we want you, join us. We also have non-Black women in our collaboration. We have our allies who are there to support us, uplift us. As a member, you get some benefits. We're working on it. We're building, like Letitia said, we're going into our 3rd year. So we also need input from our members and potential members of what you're looking for. Yes. So we do have a Monday manifestation call, which came from an idea from one of our members, Janet Johnson. She asked for a Monday manifestation call for accountability to help hold herself accountable where we can hold each other accountable. So every Monday from 10 to 10:30 Eastern, we get on. Letitia is our analytics person, so she has a detailed spreadsheet of what everyone said they were supposed to be working on. And we call you out on it. We see what you're doing. At one point, I said at one point I said I was going to clean my office. That's no longer on my list. I think Keisha's now, so we'll see.
Hey, Sammy, Barb made a nice comment. I don't know if you wanted to share it, Barb Nangle, on the chat.
Hold on. So Barb says, thank you, Diane. Amazing presentation. More white people need to hear this. You are right. Diane Hickman says, thanks, ladies. Great job, Diane. Rosa says, I love this. Thank you, Diane and ladies. Keita said, blessed and beautiful. So yes, you need to be part of our membership. We also we do have a public Facebook group where everyone's welcome to join. But guess what? We got a secret private group too. So our members are all welcome into that private group of just us. You gotta pay to get in, boo. That's just how we do. We also have member-only events. And we're building our website now. So we will have a section on the website where we can spotlight and highlight our member of the month or whatever it may be. And then we have these awesome panels and webinars and conversations where we invite our members to come in and pour into us and tell us what we need to hear. So yes, please stay tuned. And Nay is our membership coordinator. So Nay, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I mean, I think Diane's presentation just sold. I don't have to do any explanation because this is what you get. I mean, this is our 2nd webinar. We had to adjust to COVID. We used to have so much fun every month, last Friday of the month, just meet somewhere for lunch, you know, have the one-on-one with the ladies. But, you know, for me, if I'm looking for a group that where I belong, I think there's no other group other than the collaboration, you know, and I think the collaboration was born, you know, with me, Sammy, Letitia, and a couple of other members just finding ourselves in the networking group everywhere we went. And we were like texting each other because we were the only minority people. And it became very intimidating. So we said, hey, why don't we have something that's just for us? And I mean, this conversation, it is so powerful. Like I could just, for the rest of the day, I could replay these in my head because it's just giving me another push. So think about this, ladies. Anyone that's not a member yet, I mean, the links are there. We will share it again. This is powerful to have this kind of, you know, arsenal and where you're going, because this is a tough world we are in. So please join. This is an amazing group.
And also due to COVID, we've grown, right? So you know how they say
Yes.
God at our plans, right? We're based in New Haven, Hamden, Connecticut. And before COVID, we were meeting with women in the Hartford, Connecticut area to think about opening a Hartford chapter, because we had a lot of women from Hartford coming to our New Haven events. So that's
Right.
what we were planning on doing. And then COVID happened. We were also planning a membership drive to boost our membership.
Mm-hmm.
Because
It's in
we
April.
started, is Barb still on? I don't think Barb is still on. We started with one member. Barb, White Barb was our only member. And we said, we need, where's our ladies? Our ladies come to our,
Barbie's here. Still here.
Barb is our inaugural member, right? Barb was like, I'm down, I'm an ally for life. But we were like, our ladies come to our events, but they're not joining. What do we do? What do we do? So we planned this membership drive to boost membership. And then COVID happened. And we were like, what are we gonna do? So we shifted to online. We started doing the virtual networking. And now we have 39 members, and since June, I think. So we grew like that. 39 members, and we're in 8 states right now. So when we first started our membership, we were thinking
I
of a
really wanted
virtual
to say
chapter.
hi. Sorry.
Hi. We were thinking of a virtual chapter, but we were like, we don't have the bandwidth to maintain a virtual chapter. We just can't do it. And then all the ladies were like, oh, you go and do a virtual chapter. So now we are virtual, right? We're national. We're in the West Coast. We're down south. So I'm so ecstatic to see us grow. That's why we are now, you know, getting our website up and going, because we have members now, right? So
Yeah, we even have somebody join from London, or like register from London.
oh yeah, somebody registered for the this call from London.
Yes.
So we're
Yes.
going global.
Yes.
So that's why I say we need our members, because we know this space is needed, but we also need your input, because we need to start thinking about what's been lacking on the outside in all those other groups where we're
Yes.
the minorities.
Yes.
What do we need for us? Tell us, email us, text us. Don't call me because I'm busy, but text me and let me know what we can do, okay? Okay, so we're here. And we are at time, we're 3 minutes over. Are there any other comments? Oh, y'all quiet? Letitia put our email, and I haven't looked at the chat because I've been talking to you guys. Letitia put our email in the chat. Diane, Barb is going to reach out to you to invite you to be on Known Live for a virtual program. That's going to be amazing. I'm going to make sure I get that. Nay, Keita is asking for your information.
Yeah, I'm literally jotting it down as we speak.
Okay, and Keita, I can send it to you too if you don't get it. And our email, cmwpnetworking@gmail.com. Don't worry, we're working on the website. We're going to professionalize that. It won't be Gmail soon, okay? So right now, that's how you can reach us. Let us know. We're working on our programming for the rest of the year. I did the programming. I had it all planned out for the whole year. Nice, and then COVID happened. So now we're regrouping. So I thank Diane for being willing to step in, because Diane was going to come in person and chat with us. She was always on our programming schedule. And stay tuned for what's going to happen in the next few months. We don't know. We're going to plan it. We need your support. I see one more in chat. Is that Nay's info? Nay's info is in the chat. Remember, Nay is our membership coordinator. And what Nay does also is schedule a one-on-one. She has a link where you can get on her calendar through Calendly and schedule a one-on-one meet and greet as a new member, like a orientation. So you can really have your one-on-one session with her. And as the president, I'm always available. Well, use my calendar link and I'm always available to chat with you. I'll talk to you on the phone then. And I think that's everything. Letitia, Nay, anything else?
I was going to say, I think our financial literacy panel may be next on our list. But we're also,
don't know about that. We don't know. We got Kathy Graves with the City of New Haven,
yes,
who is supposed to be our speaker in September. So I just need to coordinate her date. But we can throw the financial literacy panel in. If you want to wait till October, we can do it anytime. I'm okay with that. And also, ladies, I want to start doing networking. So we have our Monday manifestation calls, but we're so busy holding each other accountable. We find ourselves saying, so what do you do again? So we're making sure you're reaching your goals individually, but we don't know what you do. So we're going to start doing networking. So we can just get on the call and network and brag about ourselves and our businesses and the products and services that we offer. Okay.
Okay.
and we're also open to ideas. So if anyone has anything that they think would make a great topic, feel free to reach out to us, email us, write us on Facebook, or any means of communication.
And Nay has put her Calendly link in the chat to
Thank
get on
you.
Nay's
I was
calendar
just
and
gonna
schedule a
say.
one-on-one. All
So
right.
let's
Any
keep
other
building,
comments?
ladies. This is great. We're looking for ideas. No idea is too small. We want to make this globe one of, a global